So those are my last three instruments. I know those I want on the bottom of the score. So with those three instruments highlighted, I'm going to move them all the way down. And I'm going to proceed with getting all of these instruments in the correct order. Timpani, I know, is right above my battery, so I will move timpani down. Oops, I moved it too far, so let's get it right above the snare line. There we go. Above timpani, I want vibe medium. I'll move this vibe hard down there. Move the vibe soft above this vibe medium. I'll take these vibes and I want to move those all the way to the left. When I say to the left, I mean, again, looking at the pit from left to right. This is just how I have my original score set up. Actually, taiko and bass drum are above those vibraphones in the score, so I need to move those up. Glock is going to go between the first two marimbas. I want my first marimba to be rosewood soft. I want my second marimba to be synthetic medium. And then the Glock, marimba rosewood medium, marimba synthetic medium, marimba synthetic soft, vibes hard light, vibes medium light, timpani, snares, tenors, bass. I think I've got this all in the correct order now. Let's just double check. 3 trumpets, 2 mellophones, 3 baritones, a tuba, percussion 1, percussion 2, vibe 1, vibe 2, marimba 1, marimba 2, Glock, marimba 3, marimba 4, marimba 5, vibe 3, vibe 4, timpani, snares, tenors, bass. Okay, I think I've got it. I'll click OK. Now, looking at our score as we zoom out, we see a lot more instruments. So as I've mentioned a few times along the way, it's very important that we have the correct amount of staves in our new score as we have in our old score. Best way to do that is just to write it down and figure out which staves are which. Another way you can check this is to go to your File menu, select Score Info, and here in the File section, see where it says Number of Staves, 25? That's our original score. Let's go to our new score, go to the same window, File, and Number of Staves, 25. That's good. So it looks like we have the correct amount of staves, and I know that they're in the correct order because I double checked. One thing to be aware of is if in your first score you have any hidden staves, or if you have any ossia staves, it's important to keep those in mind as well. You'll need to create those in your new score as well. Assuming you don't have any of those, I think we're ready to go. So now all we're going to do is go into our original score. I am going to select all. In Mac, I'm just going to say Command A. Now everything is highlighted. If you're on Windows, you'll hit Control A. That's the equivalent for select all. With everything selected, I'm going to go to the Edit menu, select Copy, or I can just say Command C or Control C on Windows. And then in our new score, I'm just going to go to my first measure of my first instrument, and we're going to select Paste, or Control V, Command V in Mac. This is transferring a lot of information off the clipboard, so it might spin for just a moment. And once it does, you'll see it's just placed all the music from the original score into our new score. As I just scroll all the way over, you'll see everything has been transformed in. I'm just going to focus on the new score here. Right now I'm in panorama mode, so I'm going to take it out of panorama mode. And the first thing you'll see is that This is just a big old mess. And that's because the document setup and the various aspects of the house style in our new score, which is built on the template, are not the same as they are in our original score, which, if I zoom out here, you can see looks a little bit more like a regular score. So going back into our new score, what we need to do here is if we go into our document setup, we can take note of the staff sizing. That's going to be an important element. Our page margins, our staff margins, all of these settings are going to affect how our score looks. Even just text styles, like the text used for the title of our score or the composer name or certain headers, that's going to affect how it looks as well. So rather than go through and figure out all of those things that need to be changed, here's a quick way to kind of get right down to it. I'm going to go back into my original score. I'm actually going to export the house style from this score, and I'm just going to give it a quick name. This is a score that I was working on for the Cavaliers in 2008, and I'm just going to say conversion house style from 5.1. So I've just saved that house style. Now, if I go back into my new score, what I'm going to do is import a house style. Now, before I click OK here, we don't want to import everything. You'll see a selection of house styles over here that are available to me. And here's the one that we just created, Cavs 2008 conversion house style for 5.1. I'm basically going to deselect everything that I can. Now you'll notice not everything is deselectable, and that's dependent on what is selected. Now that I've gone through and deselected some of these other things, you'll see I can now deselect other items. Really, all we want to get in here is the engraving rules and document setup and text styles. With those two things selected, we're going to clean up probably 90% of what our score needs in terms of cleanup work. So just by clicking OK with only those two things highlighted, if I go back to page 1, now that things have shuffled around on us, suddenly my score looks a lot more like a real score. There might be a few other little small things that I will want to clean up, but basically this score has now been converted. You see I'm still in the 5.2 template. I haven't even saved this yet, which is probably a important thing. I ought to save this, so I'm just going to do a quick save as. I'm just going to save that to my desktop right now. Save it as new score. And you'll see that, here's all our instrument changes from 5.1. They were all brought over. Those are all there. I might want to go ahead and rename my staves. I don't necessarily want taiko drum to appear in the score because this is my percussion 1 player who's going to play more than just taiko drum. This person's going to play more than just bass drum tam tam. I'm just going to call this person perk 2. This will be vibe 1, etc. And, on new pages, I might want to say just V1 for an abbreviation, or P2 for perk 2, P1 for perk 1. So I can go through and maybe clean up some of those things. But generally our score has now been converted, and when we go back to our playback devices, I can take it out of my default playback configuration. I'm going to select a playback configuration from 525. Let's say, maybe 32 sounds of VDL. I might even need to create another instance of VDL. And I'm going to use Essentials for my brass instruments. Selecting that as my playback configuration. Now I've loaded my contact players, and I will be ready to play back this score that was created in 5.1 using the 5.25 template with a 525 playback configuration. That's basically the process.